All right. Okay. Well, yes, like I said, thank you very much for joining us today. Great to see some familiar faces and also some new ones. So the way today is going to go is, first of all, my name is Marlo. I'm head of operations at Catalysr. We're joined today by Dev, who's our community manager, and then also by Uzman Iftikhar, who's our co-founder and CEO. So how we're going to do this today is we're gonna, just kind of, I guess, go around first and introduce ourselves really quickly. Uzman will give us a quick overview about Catalysr and what we do, how it started and what we do. And then from there, I'll go over the Accelerate program, all the key, bits of information relating to the Accelerate program. And then afterwards, we should have some time left over to do a bit of Q&A. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat at any point. And we'll definitely get to them as well. All right. So I'll get started real quick. My name is Marlo McKenzie. I've lived, I'm sure you've figured out by now, I'm not originally from Australia. I moved here about 10 years ago from Central America, where I grew up. And I live in Sydney, which is currently under lockdown, but at this stage, where isn't under lockdown really? But anyway, so I work as head of operations here at Catalysr. I've been with Catalysr for about almost 2 years now. And I manage the programs and then also, some of our other stuff. But anyway, I'll hand over to Dev.
Hey guys, my name is Devarshi, Dev for whoever cannot pronounce Devarshi, and I am the community manager at Catalysr. I myself moved from India as an international student to Australia in 2017, and just like other team members, we are really passionate about helping migrants build businesses in Australia. Over to you, Usman.
Thanks, both of you. Thank you for starting that off, Marlo. Really great to see everyone and welcome. I just wanted to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Gadigal people where I'm speaking from, the Eora Nation, but also I know that people are speaking from all around Australia, and want to pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you very much for everyone, for being here and for being involved today. Just wanted to sort of make sure that, we tell you a bit about Catalyslr's history and story, and then we can go into, specifics about the program and any questions that you have. So in terms of background, as Mal has mentioned, I'm Uzman Iftikhar. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Catalysr. I came to Australia myself as a migrant as well back in 2013. Originally as a student, international student to University of Wollongong, and Catalysr and sort of my story is pretty closely tied together. And the reason why is because there are, so many people like myself who migrate here. I'm sure, most of you have had that similar experience, where you come from a different country and you land into Australia and everything is new, and you're trying to sort of navigate your way through it. And there's no real playbook on how you do that. And so that was the sort of same thing that happened to me as well. When I came here, as a migrant, although I studied here and I was, really privileged that, I already was educated in Pakistan with an engineering degree, also studied in a master's here, but found it really difficult to find meaningful work. And that sort of got me thinking about starting a business, because I saw business as an alternative opportunity, not just to employ myself, but other people. I also saw business as an opportunity to create impact. So I joined a program similar to Catalysr called School for Social Entrepreneurs, incubator program that was back in 2016, where I met my co-founder, Jake. And we were, talking about different ideas. And one of the sort of this really good advice that I got from a mentor was to try and solve a problem that I've personally faced. And it was this issue of, unemployment, particularly underemployment faced by a lot of migrants and refugees in Australia. So I thought, I'm in this category. This is a problem that I'm facing. I'm in this incubator. So wouldn't it be great if we created specifically an incubator of supporting other migrants and refugees, to start their own businesses? So that was back in 2016. We ran a pilot. As a part of that program, we took in 10 people. And out of those 10 people, 3 of them successfully started a business. And that really validated that idea for us, and gave us a lot of confidence that we were onto something. So fast forward now, it's been 5 years, and we've supported over 500 what we call migrapreneurs, so migrant and refugee entrepreneurs, who are building some amazing companies. So we've got people who are doing something from a small food business all the way to a space company, and really it is very, very diverse. We've had people from 50, 60 different countries who've been a part of our programs, and really privileged to be able to play that role. We've also run a national program as well since last year because of COVID, because we were able to do it online, and so really excited to see you all and to be a part of this community. And the credit goes to everyone, including our mentors. So I know Roberto is here, who's one of our mentors in EIRs, the team members, and everyone who's been really, really passionate and the driving force behind Catalysr. And just to tell you a bit about the program, so we have 2 programs that we run for Catalysr. So we've got a Pre-Accelerator program and an Accelerator program. And the Pre-Accelerator program is something that is really for startup education. And I know that there's some people here, obviously, who've done the Pre-Accelerator program. So welcome, good to see you here. And in the Pre-Accelerator, we really help you figure out how do you start a startup, learn about the sort of fundamentals of starting a startup, and in particular, building that community around you in your sort of local areas, and also meeting people that are like-minded and mentors and so on. But that's really just the sort of first step of the journey. The Accelerator program we have is where we try to help companies and sort of early stage startups that have already got an idea, they've done some testing, they might have an MVP, and now they're really looking to sort of grow that and scale that up. We know that this is a particularly challenging time right now. A lot of the places in the country in lockdown, and so we understand and are a bit flexible around that as well. But we still want to make sure that we can help you, take your idea or your startup, early stage startup, from where it is to actually help it grow. And the way it works is that we start with a startup bootcamp, which is a couple of days where we work together and really hone in on your specific goals that you set for yourself. And then you work with an entrepreneur in residence over 12 weeks who help provide you with that sort of mentoring and guidance and coaching to get you from that early stage idea or an MVP into an actual product in the market. And we also connect you with mentors and investors and different folks there, and then it ends up with a demo day. So that's just a bit of a high-level introduction about the program, but I know Marlo has a lot more in store for you, so I'll hand it over to Marlo, who can talk more about our Accelerator program.
Sure, thanks. I thought you were stealing my thunder there for a second. I was gonna, anyway. So first of all, I have just shared the link to the Accelerate program page on our website. So if you haven't had a look there, do when you have a chance. So just kind of going over, this is 2 very different programs. So the Pre-Accelerator was very much focused on education and on learning, whereas the Accelerate program is very much focused on execution and doing and achieving. So there's a very fundamental difference there. This is not an online course in the same way the Pre-Accelerator is. So the Accelerate program, consists of, I guess, 2 main components. So one, as Usman mentioned, it is your, you'll be paired up with an entrepreneur in residence who will act as your coach throughout the whole 12 weeks of the program. And you'll be meeting with them once a week for an hour, if not perhaps, perhaps a little bit more, or, you will likely also be speaking, a little bit throughout the week. But in effect, this person is your coach and will work with you to keep you accountable for the things that you committed to getting done, the things that you're going to do, and then also help you to overcome any obstacles that you may be facing. So for example, if you are in need of an accountant, for example, or something along those lines, then they can draw on our network of partner organizations and other mentors to kind of connect you with someone, whether that be an accounting firm, for example, like a service provider, or just be another mentor from our network who has kind of specialized knowledge or experience in the area that you require some help in. The second component is meetings with us. So when I say meetings, I mean more like workshops. So they are community workshops where the whole cohort comes together. These take place on Wednesday nights between 5 and 7:30 p.m. And these workshops are very kind of practical. So the idea is that we know that early stage founders often wear every hat basically in a business. So they are, the salespeople, the marketing people, sometimes also, the person that's building, whatever the product is, the software or whatever it is. And so without understanding that, founders wear many or all of the hats, the workshops are intended to teach you, some of these practical skills that you may be lacking. So for example, some, intro to digital marketing, for example, or other things like, creating a pitch deck, or, sometimes as well, we do workshops relating to mental health, and they've been especially important over the last 18 months or so. So those workshops vary, but they do take place on a weekly basis. So to summarize, you would be doing 1 hour a week with your mentor. You would be, or your entrepreneur in residence. You would be doing, 2.5 hours a week kind of with the cohort. And then in addition to that, you are expected to go out and do the things that you've committed to getting done in order to meet your goals. So in terms of the, I guess, firm commitment, if you will, you're looking at about 3.5 hours or so a week. And then outside of that, anything you need to do for your business in order to achieve your goals. Something else I should mention as well is that as a part of these workshops, we also do office hours. So office hours, we do 3 mentor events, right? So we do 2 office hour events. The office hours are effectively like free consulting, if you will. So what we'll do is, we've got a large network of mentors and other kind of stakeholders and professionals that we've worked with over the years. We'll invite them to join us for one of those Wednesday night sessions. And then what we'll do is we divide their time into little time slots, and we, kind of put them up on a booking form so you can see who the person is, what their experience is, and what you can ask them about, what they can help you with. And also, their LinkedIn link and stuff like that, and the available time slots, that they can speak that night. So you have a chance to book in with multiple mentors on that night. And we do that event twice in the Accelerate program. So we also, prior to those 2 office hour events, we do a mentor mixer at the beginning of the program. And the mentor mixer, again, is another kind of opportunity for you to meet up and get to know some of the mentors, in our ecosystem, in our network. And then in addition, kind of start to meet people in the ecosystem. So yeah, so those are kind of the 2 main components of the program. Towards the end, as well, as Usman mentioned, we also do a demo day. So the demo day historically has been, an event effectively where you pitch your business to a group of people at the end of the program. So that group of people will include, obviously, your cohort, past alumni, generally a lot of people that work in the ecosystem. So people from other accelerators or other kind of similar firms. We often have some people working in government attending as well. We often have different service providers or mentors from our network in attendance as well. And then in addition to that, we also generally have attendance from, venture capital firms or other kind of funding organizations as well. So what that has looked like is, especially over the past year, has been that towards the end of the program, you start to work on a pitch video. So the pitch video is, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. So, you will start by, writing a pitch, kind of writing up a script and the things that you want to cover. And then it's up to you to, film, direct, and edit that pitch video. So that's one of the, workshops that we do, is a kind of a crash course to video editing, and, specifically for pitch videos. So that is what you will be, I guess, airing, if you will, at the event. And then in addition to that, you can use it, you've got this to use on your website or on your socials or whatever else you want to use it for, in addition to that. So, so yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of the program. In terms of dates, so the key dates are on the website, but I'll just go over them now. So applications are currently open now. The deadline for the applications is the 22nd of August. So you've got about a month or so still to go. Generally, we'll let you know, we do kind of review and assess applications on a rolling basis. So you may know before, but generally we, our kind of guideline, if you will, is that you will be notified between the 16th and the 23rd of August at 5 p.m. So, so you should expect to hear from us, between those days, effectively. When the program starts, the program will start on the 4th of September, and it starts with the Startup Bootcamp. So the 4th of September is a Saturday, and that is just because this is a bit of a longer, a bit of a longer event than, all the other subsequent events, basically. So do keep that in mind. And then the overall program dates are from the 4th of September to the 24th of November. So, so basically it starts on a Saturday, but then every other subsequent workshop or event with us will be on a Wednesday night. And then it is, in terms of when your EIR meeting happens, that's up to you and your EIR to discuss, and arrange for the time that suits you best. So we don't mind when that, we don't really care when that meeting takes place, basically. So there is a bit of flexibility there as well. So yeah, I think, I'll have a look and see if we've got some questions here real quick. So we've got a question here from Barbara saying, I'm not a migrant, but my partner would be considered co-founder. So, so overall, one of our key eligibility requirements is obviously that, there must be one first-generation migrant in your co-founding team. So Australians or people who are born in Australia are welcome to join the program so long as there is one migrant on the founding team. So that's what we do. So that, there must be one, one migrant on the founding team, basically. But otherwise, yes, Australians are welcome to join otherwise. Another thing I should mention as well, sorry, is that the program is open to startups from all over Australia. So obviously for some, or maybe not for others, there may be a time difference. But the events, like the workshops and our kind of program events, will take place Wednesday nights, 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Sydney time, so Australia Eastern Standard Time. But it is completely virtual, so you can attend from anywhere. David, I see you have a question.
Yes, thanks, Marlo. Question, the first feedback, the earliest I get feedback if the application went through is the 6th of August. Do I have a chance after that to tweak my application so I can make it in and do not have wait to a complete year before the next intake?
You can, yeah. I mean, if you've already submitted an application, but you want to add or perhaps amend some of the information you included in it, you can just email us. So we've got hello@catalysr.com.au. Sorry, you said something about the 6th of August?
Yes, so my application is in, or one of our applications is in. If I get feedback at the 6th of August that I'm not accepted, for any reason, do I get constructive feedback that helps me to actually tweak my application so I have a chance to get in anyway, a second chance?
Yeah, so generally, so the way the process works, so I think actually this brings up a good, something that I hadn't mentioned, is that we'll receive your application and have a look at it. If there's, generally what we'll do is, unless there is you know, for example, so unless there is evidence that you, for example, do not meet one of our core eligibility requirements. So for example, the one about having a migrant or being a migrant, having a migrant on your co-founding team, then in that event, we will, you know, if we reject your application, we will tell you why. You are absolutely welcome to apply again. So even between the 16th and the 23rd, you still have till the 22nd to submit an application. But generally, if we have any doubts about, you know, anything on your application, then we'll send you an email and, you know, and ask to set up a time to have a call. But for the most part, the process is, you know, we'll receive an email, we will, you know, have a look through them and then set up a time to discuss further with you. So there isn't an interview, if you will, part of the process before you get an outcome.
Cool.
But yes, if you you know, have any anything you want to add to your application before we reach out to you about that, then, you know, by all means, you can just email it to us at hello@catalysr.com.au, or otherwise, you know, you can always email us back when you're notified of the outcome of your application. You can email us back with any additional information that you think may be relevant as well.
Cool, thanks for that. And is it beneficial or detrimental to my application if we are a team and we put in 2 applications for 2 related but slightly different approaches to the startup?
I wouldn't say there's any added benefit to it, but we do, you know, we do ask that everyone applies separately, not for the sake of considering those applications. It's really more because we do need your you know, every founder's detail on file. So we'll still consider both of those applications together. So when we consider the applications, we consider them, you know, kind of as a business as opposed to as an individual, you know what I mean? So we'll kind of take both of those, you know, presumably you've, you know, explained the same information or supplied the same information in both of those applications. And we'll look at it as one application, basically.
Cool, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, David. Let me have a look here real quick. I see a couple more questions. What stage of the business development are you looking to incubate/accelerate? Right, that's a good question. So generally for the Accelerate program, you should already be in an MVP stage. So you should, you know, either have a product or service that is either, you know, ready to go out to the world, or is already out in the world, basically. So you must already have something that you're, you know, either ready to sell or actively selling already. That's kind of, I guess, the short answer. So for example, this is not this. I think this is as well kind of where the differentiation between the 2 programs come in. So this program, you know, the Pre-Accelerator program is a program where you go to kind of explore an idea. So you start off with an idea, and you explore it throughout that program while you're learning all the other kind of stuff about startups and what to do and how to start and all these other kinds of things. Whereas the Accelerate program, generally these founders already have something that they've, you know, they're past the ideation phase. They've got something that they've already actively worked on, and we are just helping them to keep that momentum going into scale.
So, quick question, Marlon. This is Anirban. Hi, how are you guys doing? You mentioned that so it should be at an MVP stage. So I filed the application and I'm launching my Meet My Coach MVP. First MVP is coming up at the end of this month on the 30th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the initial MVP 1 level, I may not be earning any revenues.
Mm-hmm.
So is earning a revenue a primary point of, I mean, a selection criteria for getting into the accelerator?
No, no. So lots of, you know, lots of products and services do not earn revenue for a long time. So revenue isn't necessarily a requirement, but you must have the thing that you are trying to sell.
Yeah, so I have traction. But yeah, I'm
I
putting
know.
up the product.
I know you've been posting it all over Slack.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like putting in like, yeah, I mean, we'll get the revenue slowly, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I got the answer. Thanks.
No worries. I've got another question here from Christian. Any specific selection criteria that we should be aware of when submitting the application? So I think, obviously the super important one is there must be a first generation migrant on your co-founding team. So someone who was born outside of Australia, who migrated to Australia, is on your co-founding team, whether that's you or your co-founder. The second one is we're currently only working with startups that are based in Australia currently. And then I think the last one would be that we work, with this program, we are looking specifically for, tech businesses, social enterprise, or businesses that are working on to solve a problem that's created in some way by COVID-19. So it could be a mixture of those three. It could be just one. It could be, two. We're pretty flexible. We're industry agnostic, so we're not looking for any specific, industry like agriculture or anything like that. We don't really mind what industry you're operating in. But yeah, and to give you, I guess, an example of some of the different kind of businesses that we've already worked with. So in our Accelerate program last year, we had a removalist company called the Removal Brothers, and they were a social enterprise that helped people that both operated as a normal removalist and then also on the side helped people to leave domestic violence situations. So they are a social enterprise. On the other hand, we've worked with a space tech startup that has actually just launched some of their prototypes, some of their technology into space a couple of weeks ago. So there's quite a large, I think, kind of variety and range there. But so that's why we kind of keep it a bit open. But yeah, basically a social enterprise, a tech startup, or a business that is a startup that's looking to solve a problem that's created by COVID-19 in some way. So I have another one here. Do you have a quota for how many startups you will accept into this round? Right, so we accept a maximum of 25 teams. Generally, we end up somewhere between 20 and 25, but we select a maximum of 25 for this program. And do you need to send a product mockup or a prototype with the application? So there are a couple of data points that we request in the application. So one, we want to see your website, or we want to see some sort of sign of online presence. We want to know that, the product or your MVP exists. Another one is, this is optional, but, we do highly recommend it as it makes our job a lot easier, which is to include like a deck. So, generally this is a PowerPoint presentation, which kind of explains your product, your service, and then also, kind of tells us where you're currently at in that process. And then also, I would also say, we'd like to, get as much information as possible from you as well in the business description. I guess the short answer to that question is yes, submit as much proof as possible that your MVP exists. If we cannot find any online presence whatsoever of your MVP, it makes us wonder whether it does exist and if it's ready to go to market. So I see another question here. I've got a full-time job. Do I need to take a break from my job for the Accelerate program? I would not know. So many of the people that go through our programs do have full-time jobs. In fact, it's the minority of the founders in our programs that are working on their startups full-time. That being said, when you have a full-time job, and you are also working on a startup, and you are also participating in a program, it is, it is a commitment. So it will be intensive, but I think that is the case whether you're in a program or not. So we do deliberately do the meetings, as you know, Wednesday nights, 5 to 7:30 outside of business hours for that reason, because many people are working full time. And, in addition to that, we know that everyone has, life and other commitments and stuff like that as well. Right. Do we have any more questions?
Marlo, I had received this question on the email, and they had mentioned that they don't have a product market fit, as in they don't have a final MVP ready, but they are testing out something basically that does not scale. They are just testing their solution. Can they apply for this program or not?
Yeah. So on that note, I would say, I think everyone does that. I think that's just kind of almost a natural part of the journey of testing an MVP, is that you do set up things very quickly in a way that doesn't scale, just to get some data, get some feedback and stuff like that. So yes, I would say, yes, that's fine. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, I think, seeing as we are blessed with Tony and Roberto's presence, I might just ask Roberto, some of you may already know him, but Roberto's worked with us as an entrepreneur in residence for our last 3 accelerator programs, I think, or maybe 2. I can't recall. It's time is a blur, I think. But maybe Roberto, if you could perhaps give us a bit of insight as to, some of the teams that you've seen through the accelerator program, and, kind of any thoughts that you think might be valuable to contribute.
Yeah, sure. So, so as many of you know, my background is mainly social enterprise. So a lot of the teams that I have looked at were from a social enterprise background, although I do look after teams that are not necessarily just social enterprises, but that's usually my preference, and that's where my heart lies. So there's been a whole variety of social enterprise applications and getting involved, from when Ian Bus that sort of took the inventory of the buses of local councils or whatever in their downtime to help people with disabilities in their mobility. They have been a fantastic, I'm still a customer myself, the Good Tea company, or the Good, who make basically all sorts of teas and peppermint teas and whatever, and the whole value chain has been really looked up thoroughly, so that from looking at the sourcing of the products, which are fair trade, all the way through even the vans that are used for delivery are all very much social enterprise certified, so to speak. So, and in between of that, there've been so many other interesting companies. So, probably too many to mention. What I should say, I mean, to me, this is one of the highlights of this program, and that's why I love to be engaged with this program, is that very strong community spirit that comes through the program. Because Marlo and Usman have done a fantastic work at actually making that the core almost of what they do. But also I think there's also something with migrants where we're all feeling one way or the other in the same boat, obviously different stories, different circumstances, that creates a really strong sense of bonding. And I think that, yes, absolutely, there's value of having your mentors, there's value to having your EERs, there's value in all aspects of the program. But I think that then at the end of the story, what really sticks is that ongoing sense of community. So, once you're in this, and being Italian, I call it, once you're in this family, you're in this family for a long time, so it's a long-term arrangement that goes far beyond the Pre-Accelerator or the Accelerator program. And we're still meeting up for dinners with previous founders and whatever. We still have a great community. So I would say, if you have this opportunity, take it with both hands, absolutely go for it. I think this is one of the, and I've seen a few, I think this is one of the best programs in Australia, certainly the best one for migrapreneurs and whatever. So, and I don't get a commission for this, this is honestly out of the heart. I love the team. I love the spirit of the whole setup. So I can only wholeheartedly recommend it.
Thanks, Roberto. Also, maybe if you're lucky, if you're joining us for the Accelerate program, you'll get Roberto as your EIR, and he's a tough guy, a nice guy, but a tough guy. He'll make sure you get your shit done. So
I didn't know I have a bad reputation.
It's not a bad reputation. It's a good reputation. You do your job. You do it well. And then maybe if we could just hear really quickly from Tony. So Tony is actually one of our alumni from our Pre-Accelerator program last year. And he most recently joined us as a team member, as a chapter lead in Sydney for our Pre-Accelerator program this year. So Tony has gone on to do lots of great things and also start another business. But yeah, Tony, if you want to, if you feel like it, it'd be great to hear from you really quickly.
Hey, sorry for popping in, guys. Like, you know, I had a bit of spare time. I thought I'll just see what's happening in Catalysr. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I mean, Malo said great things happening, but the thing is, like, you know, I think as entrepreneurs, it's actually, to be honest with you, a hard journey. And especially when you are a migrant in a new country, you know, building that network, getting the word out there. To be honest with you, I've been in Australia for close to 12 years. I still think it is really hard to start a business and to, you know, get some traction. So I think, as Roberto said, having a community around you really helps in building our confidence, right? So so on that respect, I think Catalysr has been a wonderful community for me personally, because, you know, I can connect with people, talk to people, ask for suggestions, ask for recommendations. You know, there might be other people in the cohort who are willing to, you know, encourage me in my journey. So I think that is such an important aspect of an entrepreneur's journey. So you know, I'm really always excited to support and encourage Catalysr in whatever Catalysr is doing, and I hope this program would really benefit a lot of you. You know, and as Usman says, like, you know, if there's anything that you take away from the program, it's that community structure that you build around yourself through this program. So I wish you all the best, and thank you.
Thanks for that, Tony. Much appreciated. Okay, does anyone have any last minute questions? Any, you know, there's no stupid questions. Perhaps if you know, even if we've already said it before, if you've perhaps missed it, by all means, you know, go ahead. You can either unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat if you're not feeling very talkative. It's all good. But otherwise, something I'll reiterate as well. Is that, you know, as we're recording this meeting, we'll be posting the recording, the video on our YouTube channel. And then in addition to that, we'll be putting it on our website. So it will be on the Accelerate program page, which I've copied the link. I'll just paste it here real quick one more time on our Accelerate program page. So you can go back there and rewatch it at any point as well if you have any other questions. Or if you know, missed any of this, you know, for whatever reason. Another thing is that if you know someone, you know, if you know, if you have a friend or perhaps a family member or a coworker that you think may be interested or that's already doing something great and, you know, deserves a bit of help, then by all means, please also do refer them to us. And yeah, you know, we'd love to see them. I think we feel like the more the merrier. Here we go. Carrie says, what happens after the 12 weeks of the program? Well, you know, the short answer is you go off and build a great business. The more nuanced answer is, so, you know, after the program, you know, just because the program's over doesn't mean that, you know, our relationship is. So we do have a Slack room. We've got a Catalysr Slack room where our community of alumni resides. And then also that you will be joining as a part of the program. That's where a lot of our major communications happen. It's where we'll be posting updates and other kind of resources and announcements and other kind of stuff like that. We post that on Slack. So you are, can stay in the Slack room basically. So, once you're a part of our community, you will have access to Slack forever for as long as you like. So you'll always be a part of the community. You'll see announcements or updates regarding, any events that we might be running, hopefully when we're running in-person events again in different cities. But also the same thing with virtual. And then if you have any questions or anything as well, you're looking for a connection to a mentor, for example, or perhaps to another cohort member, then you can, reach out to us or Dev, or reach out to that person directly if they are already in our Slack room. In addition to that, we also have an alumni hub. So we've got an alumni hub on our website, which you'll get access to afterwards. And in that hub, you can access our database of mentors and request connections with specific mentors that have, for example, if you're looking for an accountant or a lawyer, we have a little kind of explainer video there that'll teach you how to go through and filter the database to find specific people. So for example, if you're looking for a lawyer, you can filter by law, stuff like that. So you'll have access to the mentor database and you can request connections with those mentors. Second, we also have a database. So a database full of resources. So for example, we've been using lots of different materials and videos and blog posts and SaaS products or software or services or all these other things. And we also have agreements with lots of different service providers that offer perks to Catalysr alumni. So for example, we've got a partnership with AWS that gives out free credits to use on AWS. We also have another partnership with AWS as a part of the Start Boost program, where we can connect you with different tech firms and digital technology firms where AWS effectively subsidizes 50% of the work. We've got arrangements with law firms, for example, where you can get a free consult. So one free hour-long consult, and in some cases, some offer discounts as well. And similar things like that. So in that resource database, similar to the mentor database, we've got an explainer video where that teaches you how to, filter depending on the kind of, what you're looking for, basically. You can also access Usman and my calendar. So you can book in office hours with us afterwards as well at any time. And what else? And we'll also be adding a couple of other things to that alumni hub as well. So I think that was a long answer to what happens after the program. But in effect, what happens afterwards is that the support doesn't stop, and you're still a part of the community and you can still access the same resources. And right, so sorry, Manu, I see you've got your hand up.
Hi, thanks, Malo. Very informative session. I guess I have a question, but I have to say first. So I am a refugee living in Melbourne, and I am a project manager to resettlement and community development services for LGBTQI refugee and asylum seekers in Melbourne. I guess my question is, do you run kind of session for community groups, like a group of refugee and asylum seekers, or for how to access that program as well, or is that something you don't do?
So I'm happy to take that question. So hi, Martin, nice to meet you. So we currently don't have anything specifically that we're doing on that front, but we can definitely organize something. So if you've got a group of refugees or migrants that you're working with, in the past we've done specific info sessions, for example, if they want to learn more about Catalysr, about our programs. So we've done that with different organizations like Thrive, like SSI, Asylum Seeker Resource Center, and yeah, it's a long list. So definitely very happy to sort of organize something if that's something that you're interested in.
Thanks, Usman. I think that'll be great, and I will get in touch with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we've got a couple minutes left. Any last minute questions? Again, no question is, no dumb questions. Every question is valid. No? Okay, well, all right. Well then, I guess a couple of parting words. So one, if you can read more and rewatch this info session on our website on catalyzer.com.au/accelerate-program. So I will just repaste that link super quickly here in the chat. Second, we want to reiterate the application deadline, the 22nd of August. So I would apply sooner rather than later. Third, if you have any questions that you would like to ask us specifically, you can reach out to us at hello@catalyzer.com.au and we'll get back to you with any answers to your questions. But other than that, I think I'll just hand it over to Usman to just say a little goodbye then.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining and thanks for asking your questions. It's really great just to see everyone and just hear your questions. I would just probably add one last thing. So if you're in doubt of whether you would meet the criteria or whether you've got something that is ready for the Accelerator program, I would sort of urge you to apply because in the worst case scenario you'll still get feedback and you'll get to know where you're at and what are some of the things you could be doing next. And so if you are successful, obviously that's fantastic, but even if you're not successful, there'll still be we can recommend you other resources and things like that, and it can also tell you that you can come for our Pre-Accelerator program. So it's always useful to apply. So don't feel like you've got to have everything ready to go in and then apply. Whatever stage you're at, I would definitely urge you to apply because you might think that you haven't made enough progress, but we might think otherwise. And also we're often looking for talent and potential. So even if you haven't made a lot of progress, but you're really close to the problem, or you've spent a lot of time understanding it in certain ways, that also goes a long way. So definitely would urge you to apply no matter what stage you're at. In the sort of in the worst case scenario, you'll get feedback, which is really, really valuable for early stage startups. And thanks everyone for joining once again.
Great. Thanks everyone. Everyone have a good day wherever you are. Stay safe. And we'll be, I think, sending around the recording later this afternoon. Right. So everyone have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.